Want to welcome you to our first Monday morning Zoom class. You may or may not have yoga blocks, and it's totally okay if you don't. They're not a very costly investment. You can find them usually at Walmart or any kind of discount store. Even Five Below sells them. So you might choose to invest in a couple of these, or at home, you might have a couple of thick books, things that you could stack to use in a similar fashion. But for what we're going to do today, you might want to have something similar in height to blocks. And we're going to begin in a seated position. So you could sit on your knees, you can sit cross legged. It's always whatever's the most comfortable for you. And these are going to be very casual morning yoga sessions. As you see, I decided today just to stay in my PJs. So I want you to really tune into your body. This is your practice. What makes it really unique when you do practice at home, I'm still here to guide you, but it's less about what everybody else is doing in the room. There's nobody else but you. And so it's an opportunity to really dive deeper into your practice. We're going to begin today with alternate nostril breath. Since it is springtime, if you do have any congestion, you might want to just find normal breathing, or you could even have some Kleenexes nearby. But for this, you're going to use your dominant hand's thumb and index finger. You're going to close up your right nostril and breathe in through the left side. Then you're going to close your left nostril and breathe out through the right. Now you'll breathe in through the right side and out through the left. And that's one round of our alternate nostril breath. We're going to do a few more. Breathe in through the left, out through the right, in through the right, out, and in, alternating back and forth. We're going to do this a couple more times. Just finding your own pace and rhythm. Not worrying about if you're getting it just right. Your body knows how it needs to breathe. You started by breathing in through the left side, so the next time that you're breathing out through the left side of your nose, let your hands come back down to your lap and find your normal breathing. And see if you notice any subtle effect within your body. This alternate nostril breath tends to have a calming effect. You might feel more relaxed. If your eyes are closed, they can open. We're going to start to gently roll the shoulders. And so our practice today, we're going to move through a flow. We'll do some kind of variations of our sun salute and also move through a moon salutation. Let your shoulders relax down. Inhale your arms up over your head, and you can look up, stretching your neck. Try to lengthen through the sides of your body, but keep your shoulders relaxed down. And as you exhale, bring your right hand to the ground, reaching your left arm over to the right side. Finding a good side bend here. You're pressing that left hip down into the mat and at the same time extending your left fingertips up and out. Make sure you're breathing. You're going to keep your right hand at the ground, but start to sit back up, left hand to the ceiling, and it's going to come down towards your right knee. Your right hand moving behind you so that you're twisting. Make sure you're lengthening your spine, sitting as tall as you can. And the next time you breathe out, turn back around. Both hands can stay down. Read it out again. On your inhale, bring your arms up overhead. Palms are facing each other. The shoulders relax down from the ears. And maybe you lift your chin here, getting that extra stretch for your neck. While your hips ground down, could your hands lift any higher? You're going to lower the left arm this time, bringing it to the floor. Your right arm reaching over for your side bend. You're lengthening the side here from the right hip to your right fingertips. If you feel like you're tense, if your shoulders draw up towards your ears, try to be more easeful here. And your left hand, it'll stay down as you come back up. Right hand towards the ceiling, it'll move towards your left knee. Left hand propped up behind you so that you're twisting. Check your posture. Check your breathing. And again, is it possible for you to be more at ease? Can you let go of any tension that you might be unconsciously holding this morning? And then you'll turn back around. Let's go ahead now and make our way over to tabletop pose, coming onto your hands and knees. And you let your knees come right underneath the hips. Wrist could be directly under the shoulders, although maybe to protect your wrist, your hands are a little more forward. And you're going to begin on an inhale to drop the belly and lift the crown of your head, cow. On your exhale, rounding your back, you'll tuck your chin in towards your chest, cat. We're going to do 5 rounds like that. Inhaling forward, expanding the chest. Exhaling back, rounding the spine. Couple more times. Right into this last round, you're going to hold your cow and take 3 breaths. Try to expand across the collarbones, widening that area in front of the heart. And then 3 breaths, rounding your back, pressing your shoulders up for your cat. And imagine your ribs pushing a little more towards the ceiling. From this, you're going to let your hips sink back towards your heels, landing in child's pose. Knowing that there's the variations here. I want you to find what feels good to you. You can let your intuition guide you, trusting your body. If it feels right, lean into it. And if it doesn't feel right, don't be afraid to make a change. Adjust and modify as you need. With these home practices, it's so important to really honor your body. You can always turn off your screen. You don't have to do what we're doing. You can just lay down on your mat and take savasana, breathing for an hour. That's totally fine. That is a good yoga practice. And take just a couple more breaths here in your child's pose. Try to imagine your tailbone sinking towards that back edge of your mat. And at the same time, your hands extending forward, lengthening your spine. And then move into a downward dog, lifting up to all fours. You're going to spread out the fingers and really press in towards the palms and the knuckles, pressing down underneath that index finger. With your toes tucked, you'll lift up your hips and knees and create a shape like an upside down V. Your chest pushing towards your legs. Maybe your hips swing from side to side. Maybe you're nodding your head yes and no. Pedaling the legs can also feel really good. So, what intuitively feels right for you, depending on what we did yesterday, depending on how we slept, certain movements might feel really nice. So, I want you to explore. We'll take about 3 more breaths. Bend your knees, look forward, head up towards the front of your mat. As you get there, step your feet wide apart and hold your elbows, ragdoll, dangling pose. Your chin's tucked in towards your chest, crown of the head towards the floor. Relax your shoulders and try to relax a little bit more. You can swing back and forth, but at the same time, you're staying grounded into all those corners of your feet. Into the center, lift up halfway, hands to the shins. Bring your feet hip distance. Exhale, fold, and nice slow movement. Come and stand, arms overhead. Exhale your hands together in front of your chest. Take a few breaths here. Again, pressing into those corners of your feet, lifting through the crown of your head, standing tall and breathing deep. Inhale your arms up towards the ceiling. Exhale, bend from your hips, folding forward. Inhale, lift up halfway, lengthen the spine. Exhale, you're going to fold, standing slow, arms overhead. Exhale, hands at chest. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Step back plank pose or kneeling plank. Lower, push up, or to your belly. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Downward dog or child's pose. Take 5 breaths. As you're moving through the flow, are you still honoring your body? Are you listening intuitively? Make your way back to the front of your mat. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Inhale to stand, arms overhead. Exhale, hands at chest. Take a moment to breathe, checking in. Now you're going to bend your knees. Take your chair pose, arms reach up. Draw in the low belly. Shoulders relax down from the ears. Breathe in. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Step your right foot back. Turn your toes to the long side of your mat. Stand, warrior two pose. Bend your left knee. Look towards your left middle finger. Try to not lean forward your shoulders over your hips. Maybe have a bigger bend in that front knee. Your knee's not going too far over the ankle. And at the same time, your knee's not going too far towards either side of the mat. Now flip your left hand. Reverse warrior. Your left hand will reach to the ceiling, right hand at your thigh or wrapped behind your back. You're still grounding equally into both feet. You're still breathing. On an exhale, bring your arms to a T. Maybe grab a block for this next one. We're going to go into a side angle. That can mean bringing your left elbow towards your hip crease or thigh, with that right arm reaching overhead. Or if you'd like to find a deeper stretch, maybe you have your hand reaching down towards a block. And this could really be inside or outside of your foot. With this top arm, you're not lifting that shoulder up and towards your ear. You still got that space there, but you're extending out through the fingertips, lengthening. So from your right fingertips all the way down to that right pinky edge of the foot, you're stretching, opening up. And then stand back up. Arms in a T, now straighten both legs. Triangle pose. And again, you might want to block for this. You're going to look at that left hand. Stay grounded in your legs and start to lean forward as far as you can. When you don't feel like you can lean anymore, you're going to lower your left hand to your leg or to your block, and your right arm reaches up to the ceiling. You can't see, but your palm is facing away from you. And the main thing is just to be mindful you're not going to have your hand on your knee pushing down. Our knee's sensitive, so you can have your hand up at your thigh, down at your shin, or on your block for this. And for just a minute, I'm going to pivot so you can see, because what happens a lot of time is we come into this triangle pose and we start to stick the tailbone back. That way we can reach lower down. And although it's a very outdated yoga cue, it's one that has often been used where you imagine a wall behind you. It's also good to practice this at a wall. And so if that wall was behind you and you can't have your hips leaning back, you may not go quite as deep into it. Again, I'll kind of turn to give you that visual here, but the body stays like in one plane, like you fit two walls on either side. Again, not the best cueing today, but hopefully it makes a little bit of sense. That different shift. Your hips aren't back. They're in line with the rest of the body. We'll go and stand up. Bend your front knee. Watch out for any propping. You're going to come back to your plank pose. You can also do kneeling plank. Take the bottom of a push up, or come all the way down to your belly. Find upward facing dog or cobra, and then downward dog or child's pose. We'll take 5 breaths. And again, you're just checking in. When it's poses like this and we're finding stillness, it's a lot easier to listen to that inner intuition. When you're moving, when you're flowing, when you're holding these more active poses, what's going on? What's happening in the body, in your mind? Are you finding what's most appropriate for you? Are you giving yourself support when you need to? Make your way back towards the front of your mat. And that's why we call yoga practice. Really, what we do here reflects what we do in real life. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Stand slow, arms overhead. And bring your palms to meet at your chest. And so, as we go through life, we want to not always push ourselves beyond what we're capable of. We don't have to always overextend. We don't have to do what everybody else is doing. Your home practice is a really good place to start embodying that, to find what feels right for you. And so we're going to move through those same poses on the other side of our body. Bend your knees, reach your arms up, chair. You're drawing in the low belly, grounding into your feet, shoulders softening away from the ears. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. As you fold, step your left foot back. You'll turn your toes to face the long side of your mat. Keep your front knee bent. You're rising into your warrior two position. Those same cues from last time. I'm going to spin around. You're not leaning forward. Sometimes we get ahead of ourselves or we're always rushing into the next thing. But your practice, your poses, be more than just warrior two. Let this be a place to embody being present, listening to that inner intuition. Do we need to take such a wide stance? Would it feel better if we came a little bit closer with the legs? Maybe our arms need to be just a little lower today. There's all kinds of ways you can adapt your practice for you. You're going to move into the reverse warrior. Flip your right hand. As it lifts up to the ceiling, that left hand could be at your thigh or it could wrap behind. Maybe wrapping behind feels good and gives you the stretch that you need, or maybe some days it's a little too intense. Maybe when you do this, you come out of that front knee bend and you practice that intuition, paying attention. Bring your arms back to a T. You might grab your block. We're going to do our side angle. Right elbow coming down or right hand down. Left arm reaches up and overhead. That block, maybe that's too much of a stretch today. Maybe we want to just prop the elbow on the thigh or even up at the hip crease. Modify. Take what you need. It's your yoga practice. Couple of breaths here. Maybe this top shoulder can lift a little bit up and back, widening that space across your chest. And again, little tiny adjustments like that It makes such a big difference. The more that you do your own practice, the more that you tune in, come up and stand, the more you'll know. Even as IQ Warrior 2 pose, you'll know, oh, I want to do this. I can make these little shifts for the pose to really mean the most to me, get the most out of it. So now your front leg's extending, arms to a T. You imagine that you only have this space of your mat. There's walls on either side, so you don't want your hips to go way back. You're going to lean forward, your hips staying in line with the rest of the body. Your right hand may be at your shin, thigh, or block. Left hand to the ceiling, your palm facing away from you. And just like that last pose, maybe this top shoulder lifts a little more up and back, giving you a twist, which is really a main component of what our triangle pose is. So if this feels too much, bring your hand to your hip. You can have your shoulder lift up and back. Maybe your other hand's at your thigh. You don't have to go as deep. The cues, remember, they're suggestions. And your home practice is really an opportunity to play. Maybe you want to go deeper. Maybe you want to grab your big toe. That's one way to do it. I haven't done that in a while, so you'll notice me bending the knee to modify. But it's your time. You're going to come back to Warrior 2 and just be mindful of your prop. You might want to move it. You're going to come to your plank pose. And then find your flow, push up and back bend, any version of it. Those movements will lead you into child's pose, downward dog. 5 breaths. And notice any effects after moving through that flow. It's our variations on sun salutations. Maybe we feel a little heat or warmth in the body. Maybe the muscles feel more relaxed and open. After your 5th breath, you'll begin to head back to the front of your mat. Inhale to half lift. Exhale to fold. Inhale to stand, arms overhead. Exhale, hands at chest. And we're going to face the long edge of the mat for the next part. We're moving into the moon salute. This is a little more cooling, where the sun salute is a little more warming. If you need to adjust your mat or adjust your screen, I'll give another second just so you can be prepared. And you could use blocks. Let's go ahead if you'd like. There's a few ways, and we kind of go back and forth with these. So you want to have a couple blocks just nearby where you can reach. And again, with the Zoom screen, you're not going to be able to see my arms, but we're going to start with a side bend. You'll be grabbing your wrists and reaching over to extend. We'll prepare, taking a breath in and out. Moving through our moon salute now. You're going to inhale your arms up, grab a hold of your right wrist, and then you're going to lean to the left in your side bend. Take a couple of breaths here. Strong in your feet. Inhale, lift back up. You're going to reach both arms overhead. Take a step out and bend your elbows and knees, goddess pose. Then you're going to inhale, straighten your arms and legs, star. Right now, turn all of your toes to face the long edge of your mat. Then turn your right toes to face the short end, whether that's the front or the back. We're going to do our triangle pose. So that's that last one we did in our sun salute. You can reach towards your ankle, your shin. You could be using your block for this. We'll take a couple of breaths. And then we're going to move into pyramid. We'll bring both hands towards that front shin and turn all the toes to face the front edge of the mat. You could reach your hands towards the floor or your blocks. And you want this right hip to gently pull back. If you thought of your hips like the corners of the blocks, they're going to be parallel towards the front. You're not turned towards the side, which might mean maybe your feet go a little wider apart. So your feet could be lined up like a tightrope or as if they were each in their own lane, like on a road. We'll take another breath here in the pyramid pose. Lower your left knee to the ground and reach your hands up overhead. Low lunge. Press into that front heel to take pressure off your back knee. And see if your hands could reach higher without your shoulders raising towards your ears. From here, both hands are going to come inside of your right foot. Tuck under the left toes and lift up your back knee. Turn and face the long edge of your mat and let your hips drop towards your right heel. So it's side low lunge. And this marks the halfway point in our moon salute. We're going to repeat everything that we just did, but we're going to be doing it on the other side, up at the other end of the mat. So, going into side low lunge, you're going to lift up, walk your hands towards your left foot, bend your left knee. Same thing you were just in. If you want, you might bring your propping with you towards the other end of your mat. And again, it's everything we did, but going backwards. So we're going to turn towards this opposite short end, bring the right knee down, and reach your hands up towards the ceiling, low lunge. You're taking weight off the back knee by pressing that front heel down, reminding the shoulders to relax away from your ears, but still allowing your fingertips to lift up here. From the lunge, you can either bring your hands to the ground or to blocks. You'll tuck under your back foot. I think it's your right foot. Lift up your knee. And you're going to step your foot to be a little bit closer so that your feet can be flat or mostly flat. Hands can stay at the floor, on blocks for support, or maybe even move up to your shin as you come into that pyramid pose. This is where the hips align to be parallel towards that short end of your mat. If there's a lot of tightness in the legs, don't fold as far forward. Let yourself lift up more. Continue to breathe. And from that pyramid, we're moving into our triangle pose. So your right toes are going to turn to face the long edge. Your left hand could stay at your shin or your thigh while your right hand reaches up. Your blocks nearby if you want to use it. We did the triangle in that earlier flow, and this is where we're trying to not have the hips go back. Few breaths here. We'll come up and find that star pose with the feet wide, arms to T. Almost done. You're going to bend your elbows, bend your knees, goddess pose. You could really step to either side of your mat, whether that's the front or back, or however you want to identify that. You'll come arms overhead, feet together. Again, you can't see, but you're going to grab your left wrist, Reach towards the right, side bending in the other direction. And then you'll come back up and bring your arms down. Noticing the effect now. May not feel very cooling. It is still a lot of moving, a lot of poses. Now we're going to transition from that moon salute back towards the floor, turning to face that short end of your mat. Inhale your arms up. Exhale, fold. Hands could be on props, whatever you might need. You'll take 3 breaths in your forward fold. You could even reach, maybe holding the back of your legs. And allow your knees to bend and come down to sit. Once you're sitting, extend out both of your legs. Find that staff pose. So feet are flexed and your arms are by your side. Your hands gently push down into the floor to help you lengthen a little more. Lifting in the chest, relaxed in your shoulders. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, bring your chin in towards your chest. And let your hands start to walk towards your feet, holding as much as you'd like to this morning. Again, it's the poses like this in child's pose where we really slow down and tune back in. I want you to pay attention to how the practice has an effect. Does your body feel different? Does your mind feel different? Preparing to come out of this, we'll come back up and sit. And I don't think, excuse me, don't think we'll need our props except for our next to last pose. So I want you to set those aside, but have them nearby. And you're going to make your way onto your back. We're going to do pigeon pose. So if lying down isn't the best position for you, you can do this seated or even sitting in a chair. You're going to bring your right knee in towards the chest, cross your ankle at the left knee. Your right knee is going to start to open away from the body. And it might be that this is a good place for you to stay. If you want more of a stretch, you can lift your left leg and find a way to hold it, maybe at your thigh or your shin. Let your shoulders relax. Take about 5 breaths here. When you're ready, we'll switch sides. Bringing the left knee in towards the chest, you'll cross ankle at knee, allowing for that opening of the left knee towards that outer edge of your mat. You might stay where you're at, or you could lift your right foot, bring your leg towards your chest. Wherever you're at, 5 rounds of breath. I'm sure it's probably not picking up on the audio here, but in addition to the normal birds that I hear chirping outside, I've got an owl that's been hooting. Makes me so excited. It's almost warm enough here soon for some outdoor yoga. Once you've done 5 breaths, you'll again bring your feet to the ground. Reach your arms out to a T or a low V and twist both knees over towards the right. You might look up towards the ceiling or over towards your left shoulder. You'll find another 5 rounds of breath. And remember to relax consciously and then also allow space to relax unconsciously. Those areas that you may not even realize you're holding tension. Once you've done 5 breaths, you're going to do the same thing, twisting with your knees to the left. And it's that intuition. What feels better in your neck, to look straight up ahead or to look towards the shoulder? You don't have to do the same thing day to day. You don't even have to do the same thing side to side. Honor what feels right. Trust that you know your body best. After 5 breaths, you're just going to continue to roll over and come up and sit. We're going to grab our blocks. So this can easily be done with whatever props you might have at home. But we're going to do fish pose. So if you're using the blocks, you might have one on its middle or its tall setting, and then another one on its short setting. And your blocks are going to be one at the base of your shoulders, and then the other at the base of your neck. Now, you could always lay a blanket down over this since the blocks do have edges that may not always feel the most comfortable. You might, if you got like a bigger pillow or like a thicker pillow, a yoga bolster, anything like that, you could lay that up and create a ramp and can always set your blocks taller if that helps you to do that. You could use pillows and all sorts of propping, blankets, whatever to create this shape. Let me give another suggestion. So, if you don't have any of these things, but you do have a blanket, you can roll it up so it's very skinny, like a little hot dog, I guess. Um, and you'd lay it up at the top of your mat so that it could come underneath your arms. And you'd lay back like that. And it's going to still give you that same heart opening, throat opening stretch. And that's what our fish pose is. So, and if you already are familiar with it, go ahead and lay back into it and get comfy. But for those of you that might be new, again, this block is going to be at the base of your shoulders. And then this block should land at the base of your skull. It does help to have these blocks that are just a little bit thicker. But again, it's really easy to modify, adjust, and make this work. As you see, I've straightened my legs. You might choose to do that. You can keep your knees bent and your feet flat. If you like the butterfly pose, you're also welcome to do that. Well, we're going to spend a couple of minutes here in this supported back bend. And so you should, once you are set up in this, feel supported so that you don't have to be tense. You don't have to hold yourself. You can let go and relax. And observe your breathing without your hands. Imagine doing your alternate nostril breath, breathing in through one side and out the other, breathing in and switching again. And just try to imagine yourself continuing with that alternating nostril breath. And some theme that you might have picked up on this practice today was working towards balance. We did sun and moon salutes to embody both warming and cooling qualities. And this alternate nostril breath, it has a similar balancing effect. You feel really comfortable with where you are. You're welcome to stay in a supported fish, but if you'd prefer, you might start to gently transition and make your way into a savasana pose today. And you're at home. So get comfy if you need to grab socks, a sweater, anything like that. You wanna grab a pillow or even hop on the couch with your dog. We'll take just a few minutes now to wind down and close our practice today. Take another minute to get comfortable and settled in. And for the next few moments, make a commitment to stillness, letting the physical body be still, and letting that ripple into the more subtle parts of the body, the mind becoming more still, You might imagine here a body of water, like a lake or a pond, and it's calm. The water is still. Within that stillness, you can walk up to the water and see a perfect reflection, the trees, clouds, and yourself. In this stillness and reflection, observe. Throughout our practice, we worked on the skill of listening intuitively, and we continue that, coming up to our body of water so that we can see what it reflects for us today. And that calm stillness of that body of water is a place that you can create anytime you need. Within you is that calmness and stillness too. Take a few more deep breaths. To wiggle your fingers and your toes. Let your movements grow. Taking a few gentle stretches. Mhm. And as you're ready, making your way up to a comfortable seat. So we have a full circle practice. We come back to where we started at, hopefully feeling a little more relaxed, at ease, and ready to tackle this new week. Thank you for joining me. Namaste. Happy to stick around if anybody has any questions or anything. If you're local and you don't have props and you would like to borrow any, feel free to get in touch with me and I'm happy to coordinate and make that work for you. And then I'll see you again on Friday at 12 o'clock. We'll do a little lunchtime reset.